I'm pretty sure I'm live. I know I'm a few minutes late, but as usual, Facebook changed everything. Every time I go on Facebook, almost day to day, they change how they do things. So it's like I just had to relearn how to do a live video from my laptop. Easy on the phone, but very hard on I just lost my video. I'm sorry. Okay. Very easy on the phone, very hard on my laptop. I'm trying to make it so I don't have to look in two different places. But so I'm sorry if my eyes aren't on you all the time. I'm just going live in two different places. So grab your coffee and let's get started. We're talking about de-stressors today. And I'm gonna bring up a whole bunch of ways that you could learn to de-stress and reduce stress and anxiety. And I'm going to give you some takeaways. I'm going to give you some tools that you can use, and I'm going to give you like a lot of tools so you can choose which ones you want to do. I might as well start with coffee. So that is one of the things. I have a little list here, so I'm going to just like cross each one off as I go through it. But there was a little while back, I would say, kind of like, a couple of years ago, all the stuff that was going on. My stress and anxiety levels were like super, super high. And this is not good for me. For those of you who know me pretty well, you've probably heard my story that I had a stress-induced stroke at the age of 39. So keeping my stress levels under control isn't just important to me or a fun thing for me to do. It's how I keep myself alive. So these things are super important to me. So when I tell you what worked for me, it worked for me because these are things that I still do. So as far as caffeine, the more I learned about it, the more research that I did, the more I learned that I needed to kind of reduce that. And if I really wanted to feel less anxiety and stress. And so that's exactly what I did, but I did it super, super slow. So I didn't have any side effects. I did not want any side effects. I have all these pop-ups coming up. I'm sorry, I'm so easily distracted. So what I did is I made all my coffee at home, and when I made a pot of coffee, so say you use 7 scoops, I would use six scoops of regular caffeinated, and then I would use 1 scoop of decaffeinated. I would do that for a week, and then the next week I would use 2 scoops of decaffeinated, and I went further and further. And so I kept track of how I felt. So this isn't going to usually be like this huge change that you notice because you're really reducing it so gradually, and you're doing that so you don't get headaches, you don't feel cranky, and so you're not going to feel like this big change. So it's really good to keep a journal and notice, like, am I feeling less anxious? Am I feeling less stressed? I had always had like this tight feeling. I always felt like I was like holding my shoulders tight, and I just kept reducing it until I felt good. Right? So now I usually have like 2 cups of half calf in the morning. See, I was not willing to give up coffee, the tea thing or the dandy thing. And for those of you who don't know what dandy is like this dandelion mixture that tastes like coffee that has no caffeine. It's very good for you. And I do have dandy sometimes, but I love my coffee. I love the ritual. I love it. It's just like this part of my life. And so I have 2 half calf cups in the morning, and then for the rest of the day I have decaf. Okay. Do I ever fall off the wagon? Yes, I do. If I'm like out somewhere and I have coffee with somebody or I'm at someone's house and they make me full caffeinated coffee, I just drink it. It doesn't really have a terrible effect on me. Okay, so that is the first thing. I know nobody wants to hear that, but if you do it gradually the way I told you to do it, it works. I didn't get 1 headache. I am not lying. It's been seamless reduction, and it's helped me so much. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to talk about is meditation. Okay, this is one of my favorite tools. It's one of the hardest things for me to do. So anyone who says meditation doesn't work, or I can't do meditation, or I don't do it right, well, I'd like to just tell you that like probably 95% of the population feels the same way. It's kind of like I'm reluctant to compare it to this, but I like to compare it to running because it's so hard to get started with running. It's painful, you're so out of breath, you feel like you're going to pass out. and it takes a while before you get to that point where you just feel good. You get like that runner's high. So I feel like meditation for me has been the same way. I'm the type of person who likes to go, go, go. I'm very busy, very type A. And so slowing down and sitting still is very hard for me. So guided meditations are key for me. So that's what I mean by finding what works for you. So take notes. Take notes. Like the first one was reducing caffeine. The second one is meditation. And I'm going to say write down guided meditations because, and you could start so small. Every service, and I'm I lean towards Aura app because I work for Aura app. I create meditations for Aura app and I create recordings for Aura app, Aura, AURA app. And I will give you a link for a free 30-day trial. So that's one of the tools that I'm going to give you. There are 3-minute meditations on there. Okay. And so everybody has 3 minutes. That's all I'm going to say. And 3 minutes does make a difference because that's how I started. And another thing that helped me is I would do meditations in the bathtub. So I'm a huge bath person. I love baths. I would say I take a bath every day. I love baths. Even if it's just to sit in warm water, to be warm and have bubbles and smelly bath salts. Okay. So it's just like one of my self-care things. So if I'm in the bath, I'm sitting still already. I'm relaxed. I'm very happy. And so listening to a meditation is it's so wonderful. It has such a better effect for me. I don't feel like something's calling me or I have to do something or I have to get moving or I have to do this. I'm in the bath. I know I'm going to be in there for a good 20 minutes. And so doing a meditation while I'm in there is wonderful. Okay. Another time meditations really work well for me is, and this might not work for everybody. So like I work from home. And so not everybody can work from home, but a lot of people do work from home nowadays. So this can work for a lot of people. When I'm feeling like that afternoon lull, I know that I'm more apt and it'll be easier for me to sit still. So doing like a quick 3 to 5 minute meditation or even longer if you're willing. I love to close my eyes for a second. And doing that, it like re-energizes me. Like as long as I don't sit there too long. If I sit there longer than 20 minutes, then I'm not energized. But if it's usually like 5 minutes or so, it just re-energizes me. Tuning out for that 5 minutes completely and listening to a meditation gives me the energy I need. I don't need like another boost. I don't need to eat anything. I don't need any caffeine. So it's just wonderful. Another thing that I like are the hypnosises, and I'm actually getting certified as a hypnotherapist right now, and I'm very excited about that because I'm going to be creating hypnotherapy for stress, anxiety, and imposter syndrome, which is linked to like entrepreneurs and people who are in business for themselves. If you're not sure what that is, you could look that up. But I'm going to be doing different hypnosises for that, and I'm going to be creating those recordings for the Aura app, and I will definitely be making some freebies on my website, and then I will be offering services for stress and anxiety, and I might go further into other things. I have to see what feels right. But anyway, I love the hypnosises on Aura app. They're fantastic. I know this sounds like an Aura app commercial, but it's really not because I don't have any hypnosises on there. So you would be listening to other coaches. There's coaches from all over the world. So you will definitely be able to find someone that you can resonate with. So try the hypnosises. They're usually longer. I like to listen to those when I'm falling asleep. Those are just my favorite thing to do when I'm falling asleep. Okay, the next thing I'm going to recommend is like cardio exercise or just getting your energy up. And the reason this helps releasing stress and anxiety is because it's not like stuck in your body. So when you have like stress and anxiety just like building up in your body and it's not moving out, it does like a number on you. It does a number, it's not healthy for you. Obviously, that's how I had the stroke. So doing exercise, and I specifically focus on like walking, running, swimming, dancing, doing things that are just going to get your heart rate up a little bit, maybe make you break a sweat, are so helpful. It not only helps you feel good right in that moment, but the effects continue. And so it's almost like taking medicine. Okay, it's much better than taking medicine because the only side effects you get from exercise are positive. Okay, so I know it's hard for people to exercise, but starting like a walking or a running routine is, I would honestly say, if you could do it on a regular basis, to give yourself weeks, if not a few months, to really start to feel good about it. Okay, it might take a little while. It's so good for you. An added bonus is to do it outside in nature. Nature is known, like being in nature is known to like lower your blood pressure and bring you back to center and ground you. And so if you're doing this, you're walking and you're out in nature, it's like a double whammy stress, anxiety lowering thing. Also, if you're doing it with a friend, that's like a triple whammy. Okay, so not only are you have the exercise that's reducing your stress and anxiety, but you also are out in nature that also reduces stress and anxiety, and you're part, they call it like community and belonging. These things are important to humans, and so these things are almost as important as food and shelter to us. And so you're adding that, the added bonus of a friend, so community and belonging, along with those other two. So you have a triple whammy, stress reducing, anxiety reducing moment there. So definitely keep that in mind. Another thing that I love, actually, I'm going to talk about, I was going to talk about yoga, but I'm going to talk about breath work first because they're kind of like part of each other, breath work and yoga. One of the reasons I think yoga helps reduce stress and anxiety so much is because of the breath work. That's just one of the things that helps do it. Also, a lot of the movements in yoga are a lot of the movements that are used in energy healing. I find it so interesting because I took a course on energy healing, and then I'm right now studying to get my 200-hour in as a yoga teacher training. And I've noticed like a lot of the moves are very similar, and I'm like, that is just so cool. So anyway, the breath work. So breath work is scientifically proven to reduce stress and anxiety, almost instantaneous. So what you're doing with breath work, and if you want to really do it correctly, is you're expanding your diaphragm. Okay, you're expanding your chest, because when you expand your diaphragm, you're stimulating your vagus nerve. And when you stimulate your vagus nerve, you're stimulating your parasympathetic system, so that you're taking yourself out of fight or flight. Okay, and so right there, it's just scientifically proving to reduce stress. It gets you out of fight or flight and puts you in rest and digest. Okay, but in order to do that, you have to take these deep breaths where you're expanding your diaphragm. So think of it as like breathing into your belly. Okay, and expanding your belly. You're trying to expand your rib cage. So when you're doing the breath work, focus on expanding your rib cage and put your hands there so you could feel if you're doing that. So if you're having like a really stressful moment, I'd say get through at least 4 or 5 deep breaths. Take a really deep breath in through your nose, expand, like try to do a count of 5 or so. Hold it at the top for maybe 2 or 3, and then try to make your exhale almost double of what your inhale is. Okay, and then do this at least 3 or 4 times, and this should automatically start to calm you down. Okay, another thing that you could do with deep breathing is also different ways you could touch. You could do this. This is a very calming sensation. So if you're really trying to get out of a very like high stress situation, this usually helps, and sometimes this helps also. So we have all these different meridians in our body, and so just doing certain things like that can really help calm the body. Okay, so the breath work that works for me, the one that I'm going to give you right now as another takeaway, along with the free 30 days of yoga meditation and the hypnosis, is box breathing. So there's so many different breathwork techniques, and I am not a breathwork specialist by any means, but the one that worked best for me, and it's because of my type of personality where I always like to go, is box breathing. Okay, and I think this was used in the military, which I find very funny that this is the one that works for me. Hold on, I'm just going to take a sip of my decaffeinated coffee. So the way it works is you're going to breathe in for 4, hold at the top for 4, exhale for 4, hold at the bottom for 4. And the reason why I think this works for me is because I have to really focus on counting. And so a lot of times I do this when I'm laying in bed at night trying to go to sleep. It's really, I don't know. I don't have any trouble sleeping, so I'm not going to say this will help with any sleep problems, but it really helps me really settle down. So breathe in for 4 through the nose. Hold at the top for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 4. Hold at the bottom. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale again. And then you just keep going and try to go through at least 4 cycles of this, okay? Especially if you're just starting, and see, you know, and get yourself into a rhythm. So I like actually tap my hand, or I tap my feet together when I'm laying down. It kind of helps me count. This is just something I do. This might work for you, or you might just want to count in your head. Just try and see what works for you. Next, I want to talk about yoga. So one of my favorite things about yoga is it combines so many different things all into one that help reduce stress and anxiety. So like it helps you ground yourself, which coming back into your body and really getting present where you are right now and not having your mind over here worrying about this and thinking about this and having all these stress loops going all in your head. Just bringing yourself back to center and being present in your body reduces stress and anxiety. Then you have movement, okay? And so depending on what type of yoga you're doing, you're always going to have movement, but unless you're doing yin yoga, then you're working your body. It can be, the workout could be as hard as you want to make it, okay? It's really about focus. And I love how it makes you focus your mind on your breathing, and so it just brings everything back to center. It calms everything down. You're doing deep breathing, you're doing physical work on your body, and you're grounding. And so all of these things put together are so valuable when you're reducing stress and anxiety. So a really good way to get started, and I will try to put a link for this because she's my favorite, is Yoga with Adrienne. And the reason why I say Yoga with Adrienne is because she's great with beginners. She has a beginner series. It's free on YouTube. And she has short videos. So you don't have to, like a lot of yoga classes can be an hour, sometimes even longer. She has all different lengths. She has 10 minutes, you know. She has yoga for people who do mountain climbing. She has yoga for every type of person that you could possibly think of. So it's a great place for beginners to start. Now, if you're not a beginner and you want something more powerful and harder, I would say Cat Meffin, C-A-T, like the, you know, like a meow cat, M-E-F-F, I think it's I-N. It's either I-N or E-N. She's pretty popular on YouTube, but she has a bunch of free videos on YouTube. I find her to be more challenging. So when I'm looking for more of a physical challenge, I go to her. She also does some meditations also. So these two ladies, Yoga with Adrienne and Cat Meffin, are my go-to favorites that I spent the entire time when we weren't able to go to yoga classes. That's who I spent my time with, and I love them dearly for having their free YouTube channels. I'm very grateful for that. So go check them both out on YouTube. They're both fabulous. The next thing I want to talk about is tapping. So EFT tapping, emotional freedom technique. A lot of people have not heard of this. This isn't so like mainstream, but it's actually used a lot with PTSD. Okay. And what it does is it uses the energy meridians on the body, and you tap on those energy meridians while you're walking through what's bothering you. And then you kind of walk yourself through the process and move yourself to the other side of how you're feeling better. Okay. So it kind of like helps you work through those emotions and release those emotions. And I have a video on YouTube. So I'll put my YouTube link down here. With a quick EFT tapping video for stress and anxiety. So you can go try it out. Also, there's tons of other people on YouTube too. If you want to learn more about it, just Google it and tons of stuff will come up. It's actually very effective. I'm in the process of getting certified in EFT too. I'm actually pretty much finished with that. I just have a few more things to do. So I find this very valuable. I use all these tools, um, the tapping, the meditation, the yoga, the hypnosis, reducing my caffeine, all of these things put together. And I'm not saying you have to do all these things every day. People, you just don't have time to do all of these things every day. But just like incorporate them into your everyday life and find what works for you. That is the key, okay? The last thing I want to talk about is getting better sleep. Now, I know this sounds ridiculous. For somebody with stress and anxiety, telling them to just sleep better is like telling them to, somebody with a broken arm to start lifting weights, okay? It's not something that comes very easy, but there's different things that you can do to set you up for better sleep. It might not come right away, but if you start adding some of these other things into your life, you might start being able to sleep better. Like exercise, yoga, reducing caffeine might automatically, those three things alone might help with your sleep right there. People metabolize caffeine differently. Some people keep it in their system a whole lot longer than other people. So you cannot compare yourself to someone else. You might have a friend that can have a cup of coffee at 5 o'clock and then they're fine. It doesn't affect their sleep. And then might be the person who has a cup of coffee at 5 o'clock and stays up all night. Okay, so everybody metabolizes this differently. And unless you really, I'm not even sure how you could figure out how you metabolize caffeine without being tested. You're not going to know. So you really have to just pay attention to how you feel and put the blinders on and not pay attention to how other people feel. So meditation and some of these things might work for me great, and I might love these things, but these things might not work as well for you. Okay, you might find that you like dancing in your living room. You're like, Tina, I don't want to be outside all the time. I hate bugs. So I'm not going to run. I'm not going to walk. I'm going to kind of hang out on my treadmill. So watch a funny movie while you're on your treadmill. That's another way to reduce stress and anxiety, laughing. Okay. So the sleep better thing, I have a blog post, 20 ways to sleep better. And I'm going to put a link to that here. So I have a lot of links to give you. So I'm going to be putting all this stuff in the comments for you to enjoy so that you have these tools to use for yourself. Find what works for you and then stick with it consistently. Think of it as a habit like brushing your teeth. Okay? You don't skip that because you know it's important. Okay? So is this. This is actually almost more important, I would say, than brushing your teeth. Keeping your stress levels down and taking care of yourself in this way, what I call deep level self-care, is way more important than brushing your teeth. Teeth are important, but you hear me. You hear what I'm saying. You have to be consistent, okay? And if you want to feel better, if you want to feel different, then you have to do things differently. It's the only way. And the more and the longer that you do these things, they become a habit. And the more that you acknowledge the fact that you feel better, the more you're going to want to do these. That's why I always talk about keeping journals. So keep a journal, especially with the caffeine. It's like, how do I feel? Week after week. How do I feel this week? I started meditating every day for 3 minutes. How do I feel? Is this working for me? Do I feel any better? I've been walking outside every day for 5 minutes. Do I feel better? Do I feel better during? Do I feel better after? Does it break up my day so that I feel better for the rest of the day? Just take notes and figure this out for yourself. It's so important. I hope that this live was helpful for you. If you have any questions about any of the links that I give you or anything that I've talked about, please reach out to me. I'll be glad to talk with you. I love you, and I'll see you later. Bye. I never started it. Oh, that's a bummer.